course of action, the only tag, leave something behind. Every time they find the fire escape, they will leave a tag behind. It'll be a yellow tag or a red tag. You're not getting any liability. You're not inspecting. You're just identifying a fire escape. And you then say, and you say to the guy, do you have a certificate? Common sense goes, no, I don't.
You need a separate tag.
Yep.
Just keep moving it to make sure everything's on the screen.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Tony.
Fire prevention. I'm going to have
Tony
the fire
says
chief give me a
he's going to, he'll put the rest of the documentation that's needed.
And Jack Smith is the guy
and get it in so we make sure we get
Jack
that.
Smith, he is yearly.
These guys,
I mean, his daily inspection.
these guys get serious.
For us.
I don't know.
He just goes
They're
on
going to
there.
put down, they'll put down whatever it is.
Yellow.
If they get CEUs, they get CEUs.
When it's professionally inspected, although tested.
We offer them, so.
Engineers, and then they'll get a white one. You'll be white, you know, that's
Well, you
okay.
need a CEU.
White is all right.
Yeah, right.
Red, you're gonna be dead. Yellow, you know, you gotta be careful.
Yellow is caution.
So if you remember. if
Oh,
you-
yeah, I think they will.
Working
I'm
with your
going to
building
go back
department
there
and fire,
tomorrow.
nobody's changing their
I've
routine
got all- I
other
just
than
did that
leaving
back today,
behind
back
our
today.
task force. Really an identification
I'm
program.
running
that
just
you
a
spend
big
the
piece
next
myself,
5
trying
years
to get
doing.
this stuff
Just
all
find
squared
it.
away.
Leave a tag, all of a sudden, you just let things work themselves out, meaning, once it's tagged,
It's fine.
it's gonna get documented.
Yeah.
Will it get fixed immediately? Probably not. Will it get at least into the process of
He's not gonna pay you.
yes. Will it take 6 months to a year? Probably, you know, landlord.
They didn't sign out.
Landlord, year, they
You gotta sign out.
Yeah, firefighters who show up in the middle of the night, smoking situation, they get it. They see a yellow one, they're like, hanging on that. They see a red one, it's definitely not getting on that one. But they see a couple of white ones, they're like, no, I mean, I'm getting on this one, I'm gonna take care of the baby, whatever. I'd like you to work with the fire chief to say, that's gonna be a state, a system, it's gonna take 3 to 5
Go ahead, we'll
years
talk.
to really work
Start
out.
grabbing
And
some
we
food.
work with the model city law, you know what they do, so.
There's Italian and ham grinded, there's pepperoni, and there's plain pizza,
Quarterly.
fresh fruit,
Saying, if you have a building.
sodas, water,
And it has. fire
everything in
safety,
it.
please
Help
provide
yourself.
us with a current certificate. So the initiative group is saying,
Huh?
be aware,
Watch the show out.
we're now for fire safety to be certified. If you haven't done one in 20 years, 30 years, be aware we are now looking to that to slowly come into purchase and sales, rentals, and, you know, occupancy permits. We're gonna sort of, and I'll discuss that today. I don't know if you're sitting somewhere, but, you know, that's one of your.
Just for a while.
Then you can leave it, then in front of your thing, there's gonna be one there somewhere.
John, you want to sign in? Sure.
Guys, if you guys want to, I'm doing a little bit of show and tell today, so there's a nice fire escape here, so while you're eating, and if you have any questions before the main event starts, if anybody has any fire escape questions, we got a nice one here that used to be at school, now it's here in front of you for us to, you know, kick it around, and I can explain how rust works, what rust does, and what a 75-year-old grandma looks like that you guys are relying on to hold you up in the air.
Yeah, John's, I think he's in there. Where's the sign-up sheet you have, John? You got it?
Where's Frankenstein?
The work looks good, the food looks good. Right, thank you. Mike, you ready? You gonna grab away?
You're gonna be doing most of the talking while you're talking.
Oh, I see. I wouldn't wait for scraps, these look like my guys.
Is the chief back?
I saw him.
Yeah, he said he was coming.
Dried for, I don't know, so
Eat.
I saw him running out the door about 20 minutes ago. There's something.
Bob said he was coming. I'm not sure that Tommy said he was coming.
Tommy's off today.
The chief was
Well,
here.
Dad,
I spoke with the chief, he says he's coming.
Well, they didn't know. And,
We got signage here, you guys see this?
Where's
Signage?
Gordo? We get the day off?
We got signage day off.
Yeah, we like that.
did Bob get hurt? The accident? It's on his car. No, he did. He gets into an accident. Was they got into an accident? Somebody get into an accident?
I didn't know he did.
I just found that out this morning at the shop.
some stuff in front of it.
Didn't interrupt you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll give him a few more minutes, we'll get him down a little bit here.
If you guys want, what I have here,
You may go ahead.
we have a website, it's called National Farscape Academy. It's free and it's on YouTube. We're doing a lot of downtown walk-arounds, done a lot throughout the country and a lot in Massachusetts. So this is us walking around either with firefighters or building departments, and you can get online for free and watch these at your leisure. So while you're eating, you can just watch a downtown walk-around. This is actually Washington, D.C.
You already wrote the violation. Your violation said, repair, maintain. You might have said it in other words. So now we go.
It's lunch and a show.
That triggered the evaluation.
John, make sure you sign the sign.
Evaluation report. Or do you want me to write you another violation to basically say what the first one already said? The imminent danger without a specific. Point out to him, and we'll fix that. The next point out the report, and we'll totally fix that report. If you write the word repair, the language, that's so general, they're like, yeah, no, it is. Everything must be inspected. So stop pointing. If you were ready to point out to him what the right violation, tell the people that, right, repair, paint, tech. When they get that general language, you get them to do. They're going to call you and ask you what? Clarification on what the word repair, paint, tech means. And what do you say? The word repair means we need to have inspection, we can evaluate it for the order of when you get to you, we want to come. And that's it. Now, once you start this process, you just need to go back. You don't need to write another
At some
violation.
point, yeah.
What already exists.
Good time.
You're the one that needs to call it. This is my violation report. Oh, what are you talking about? You didn't tell me that. See? You should have told you guys in the fire. You didn't tell me that. So let's talk about another issue. So, yeah, so, balance our balance. Okay? Other issue. More paint than rust or more rust than paint? More paint than rust. What other issue? Square house bolts?
Yeah, that's what I said. I thought he said he was trying to get your chemicals.
Yeah,
It turned out to be inert stuff.
one of those minerals.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, the triathlete.
I didn't-
That's in the NFPA, it's a 3-3.
Was it?
Three blue, 3 red. The other one was inert.
Four outside fires within half a mile of each other, all within an hour.
I was at actually, I got no call, but I was at a wedding.
You got it all like that in there? happened. And they destroyed the evidence.
I got ice over there, but that stuff was, you know, in cold.
I said, they got fire. I said, these packets. I said, whatever that's just supposed to. That's not really strong. We certainly have this, yes, no, it's for. We found it $10 per hour. This that way.
By the way, guys, on this, this is me in Washington, D.C. a year and a half ago, no more than 2 years. You know how many fire escape violations they wrote in that year?
One.
This was the first class they've ever had on fire escapes. You know one of the main reasons why they didn't write a lot of fire escape violations?
They didn't know they were supposed to.
They didn't know. That was a violation.
They knew. Whenever they wrote them, nobody would ever do anything about them because nobody knew what to do. So, because they couldn't find a cure for the problem, they just stopped writing the violations. And then told all their guys to stay off the fire escapes.
Why didn't the local jurisdiction building officials cite them and take them to court?
I mean, I'll go into details of this national issue, but just so you know, in many cities, if it isn't the fire prevention not writing a lot of violations, it's the building department not writing enough violations. Because fire escapes are, we call them the bastard child of egress. They're outside, they're supposed to last forever, and they're not tested as often as people think. You know, it's almost like testing a parachute in a plane. How often do you do that?
So I can't say
So, but I just want to let you guys know that this is Washington, D.C. actually.
That even though it's already painted, get back in there and seal every crack on this fire escape. Seal every repaired first joint with 50 acetylene. So the rest of the building's left. They'll have a paint service. So that's why you write repair, paint, test. It doesn't lie.
That's where you just were standing just a second ago. You're right there. So if you so you're about 2/3 of the way on that table.
You know, the fire chief was here earlier. Is he, you want us to wait for him? Just nothing else, because he said he was going to be here, but he said we had a couple of pressing issues this morning. So I'll wait here. Yeah, but if you guys want to,
You want to follow up on that?
but he was already here earlier.
You did, huh?
I don't think so.
He thanked me.
Show the maintenance guy, change the mold, because the incident will sign off. But if the work is major, show the maintenance guy, not going to cut it. So we need a professional license. By the way, on this code, you have to go with a building inspector.
I'll step inside.
So this thing has all this oversight.
I'll take
So
15
you
minutes.
need a tag.
Yeah.
Light bulb.
White tag, yellow tag, or red tag. Anytime.
So I just found the light bulb, street light, into a beat up motorhome, I guess, I call it.
Bring it the first.
Beat up,
He actually took,
Where you run the court from?
he took the plug from the drill, the RV, rear extension cord, down into the tunnel, well, on this one. Then they had a piece of, I don't know,
regular, just regular.
Nomex wire, from the extension cord up over underneath, over to the light pole. And they got access to the wires in there and wired it up to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that inspected?
Yeah, it had a tag on it. Good old Yankee Drew.
We're just jealous, because he's looking for free.
Right, exactly.
All right, guys, so a quick one before I get started. This is called the Fire Escape Academy channel on YouTube. And there's about 600 videos there of us all over the country. This is me actually in Portland, Oregon. So these videos are free, accessible. You don't have to pay a fee or anything like that. They're all part of the training with the National Fire Escape Association. But we'll send you these links, but a lot of this is classes, including the last class you were at Westboro, classes in there. So This class is getting recorded. This will be up on the National Fire Escape Association. So if anybody missed this class and you think it was important, you can always send it directly to them. But I'll just reference that if you go on YouTube and you type in Fire Escape Academy, or you type in Fire Escape Seminar, all the videos are up there free. They're all publicly accessible. And you can watch as many videos nationwide as you want. But we also have playlists, and this is one of the playlists I'm playing, and it's about an hour and a half of nothing but 3 to 5 minute little blips of everything here in New England. Every fire escape you could ever imagine is on here, so that you can just train. And sometimes you guys have your weekly training sessions. You can literally train at home, train at night, train on your computer at your desk, and watch what to look for. I'm going to try to train you today, but normally right after a class like this, we do what's called a downtown walk around. And we would bring the whole group or a cluster of the group downtown, and we would video walk and video talk the whole thing, but now it's your turn to watch and pick out things out of the thing. We did one right in Westboro right away. Gene walked with us right after with another couple of inspectors, and we recorded that. So if you don't have time to go downtown walk around, it's too cold, which it is today, every video that we can ever capture is here for free. The camera's nice and shaky, so there's no Spielberg recordings going on here. You'll have to know noisy cars are there, but again, the most important part is what you have to look for as an inspector, what you have to look for as a firefighter, so that you don't get hurt with these fire escapes. So they're all here, and we'll go into a little bit more detail. And even at the end of the class, which I have to find out whether or not we're doing just 2 hours or 4 hours for credit, we can actually play videos later as part of the downtown walk around. Instead of going out, we'll just play them here because they already exist. So I can even do Gene's class, walking around and what to look for from the ground. So you don't have to physically get on these things, because we got Rusty over here for me to show you everything that goes on and what scares the hell out of firefighters, what scares the hell out of tenants. We got it here. So, but I just wanted to make you guys aware everything's already free and online. And a lot of our classes, if you go to the National Fire Escape Association, you're going to click in there. You're going to see Westboro's information there. Click on it, the video plays. You can watch Seattle, Chicago, everything that we've ever done, and all the associations in Massachusetts, we have done a class. So those classes are on, and this one's going to be on there also as a city class, because we've done association classes. This is a city class, and I'm glad to see that we have both here, both fire and building department. So with that being said, Rusty's all set. Let me just get this thing ready for the first slide. I'll let Michael come up and now hopefully the lights are going to get better. This is the shiniest room I've ever been in. I'm getting a tan standing here. But I think as we go along, it's going to get better. It was worse on that side. But Michael will association.
I'm Michael Carberry. I'm the director of the National Fire Escape Association. And with me is the executive assistant, Katie. Katie actually does everything that happens. I just am there. But if you want to know what actually goes on, and if you need some information or you need some pieces to your puzzle, Katie's there to help you. The reason for establishing the National Fire Escape Association is to not only bring awareness, like we do in these educational things, but also to be a warehouse of information, for a resource for folks like yourself and around the country, where you can get everything online. Everything we offer out there is free. The seminars are free. The information that you go online is free. Any forms that you get are free. We do that through our partnership with folks like Cisco's companies, the fire escape engineers and fire escape services that they offer. But this is a problem that's going to get only worse. They're talking about 75 to 100-year-old fire escapes, where I know firefighters, like my family, don't want to go on. And the folks that are going to be hurt in this are definitely going to be the firefighters that use them, or the people that are going to be trying to get out. It's never the building owner, it's never the building inspector, it's always the firemen, it's always the tenants. So we want to bring awareness, we want to educate you, and we want to be a resource for you to use. Any questions that you have, give us a call. We're happy to point you in the right direction and get you to the right kind of people. If you have any questions afterwards or during, just give me a yell. Today we have Cisco, that is the expert of experts. He's the one that we go to at any time we need some information. He has an organization nationwide, the only nationwide organization, Fire Escape Engineers and Fire Escape Services. We use them quite a bit. They're a great resource. He's always willing to give his time. And I said, he is the expert that people need to go to. I get to travel around the country. Last week I was out in LA and got to look at a nice project. We actually went on a Hollywood set because they wanted to film somebody coming down a fire escape, and that had to be, they had some issues with it. They had some cameramen they want to put out on the balcony, and they want to make sure that was okay. So they had hired a company to do some testing and load testing for that. So I had an opportunity to go out there and see that. But as I go around the country and see some of these rusty monsters that are just a disaster waiting to happen, I think something has to be said, something has to be done. And New England, unfortunately, is, whether it's the conditions that we get to test, the perfect testing ground, you start in Baltimore and go north, it's bad. You start in Chicago and go to the Twin Cities, it's not much better. They might be 10, 15 years behind us, but it's coming. It's only a matter of time before we have more stuff on Channel 5 News at 5 o'clock that some firefighter has lost his life because the fire escape just wasn't up to snuff. So today we'll show you some things, educate you a bit, and hopefully you have a better understanding of what it is we do and why we do it. So Cisco is...
All right, so the first thing we're going to do is really open it up and talk to you about what we have here is 75 years in the making. So let's start here first. It took 75 years for this to occur. We cannot fix it in 75 minutes. So what we're about to suggest today is actually going to take 3 to 5 years to implement. It starts with step 1, and that is just situational awareness, and that is 25 years ago, this wasn't really killing anybody. 50 years ago, this wasn't really killing anybody. Today, she's 75 years old. She's got packed rust. She's got blown out connections that I can stick my fingers in. She's got treads ready to drop. She's got rusted connections. She's got orange base, which is lead paint. And this came off of school last year, an elementary school in Cambridge. And you know who brought this to my attention? Was it the yearly fire inspection and sign off? No. Was it the yearly building inspection and sign off on that school? No. It was the maintenance guy saying, can you please get this fire escape off my building? I've convinced the principal to replace it. Because they've been patching it with all these little wells and all this little crap, and this is how I found it. The beauty about this fire escape, and I'm 51 years old, I got hijacked by my dad into the ornamental iron business. He's still in the business today. And I started, my jump into this was when Harvard gave me 375 fire escapes to inspect. I still work with Harvard to the present day, doing the exact same thing. But very rare was I ever able to save a slice, a piece of cake. So even at my Westboro show that I did with you there, I didn't have this with you for that day. But I was able to take this is off the top. I've got another one, I wasn't able to bring it today. And it's the bottom piece of it, a couple of treads at the bottom. What we did is we sliced it down the middle and we joined it together, and half of it is the original, the other half is all the wrong ways to fix it. I wasn't able to bring that one. I was able to bring you is the 75-year-old grandma that's here. So what we're going to discuss today is all the kind of ideas that you have that says, okay, can we fix this in 75 minutes with a meeting? Nope. Can we take a program where we're going to now make it part of our daily awareness, because you already got on, all we're going to do is add it to your list. We're going to add it to your fire department checklist. That's once you're giving somebody the smoke detector sign off, guess what you ask for? Because alarms, a smoke detector gets out, you go out on a fire escape. So if alarms are going to go off and I'm in my bedroom, this is outside, so you just add it to the list by hand now, because you need to print new documents in the future. But for now, you just add a new box, you write in affidavit. I'm sorry, they don't want to call it, the state doesn't want you to call this an affidavit anymore. The fire escape affidavit has to be called a fire escape certification. We'll talk about that later, because this word came up, it's on their website, mass.gov. But you want that affidavit. You're going to ask for it. You're not going to ask for an inspection. You're not gonna ask for a load test, you just say, I need a copy of your current certification for that fire escape in the back. They say, oh, it's in great condition, you should go out there and look at it, it's great. Say, I don't wanna look at it. I'm just signing off the smoke. This place looks great, you did a great job here. I just need the current certification. If they don't have one, sign off your smoke, give it to them, but it's an incomplete document that you're putting in, because the fact that it doesn't have an affidavit automatically triggers a building department request within 30 days to have a fire escape happen. So there's an automatic coming from the fire department that everything you guys touch that you're going to allow to occupy, you always ask as the final piece, because there's two means of egress. The building department now, you guys have your yearly inspections that you do. So everything you yearly inspect on that you're signing off on any building, just pencil it in now or pen it in now, ask for a current affidavit. I gotta stop saying the word affidavit. The state does not want you to use the word affidavit. They want you to call it a certification. I'll show you that document in a second. It's on the .gov. They don't have one? It's okay. Sign off like you always have. Don't stop the process. But now within 30 days, what do they have to do in order for you to close that file? Within Boston right now won't let you close a building permit unless you have a current affidavit on the file. So you come in to fix a toilet, what do you need to close the permit? Fire escape certification. That's what Boston did. They started adding it in at the end. They didn't care what you did to the building. To close it, but I only changed the light bulb. Yeah, you got a permit, it looks good, you signed off. I need an affidavit to close the permit. So two very simple systems that over the next 3 to 5 years are going to find every fire escape. A story about this. Let's take this story. This came out of a school last year. But let's take this fire escape as a typical fire escape on the back of every building. Well, let's change the story around a little bit, and let's talk about a traditional building where a 3-story building in Worcester, and some guy has a front stairway that you guys have examined, and he had a rear stairway that you guys have examined inside the building. But then all of a sudden, because some of his tenants needed closet space, he went in and took out the rear stairway inside. What would immediately happen in a future subsequent follow-through on some other permit activity in that building, and then you realize that the guy, without telling you, removed the interior staircase on the back. What would happen to that building that minute on the building department side?
Probably violation would be an egress.
Would you let them continue to occupy?
Probably not.
Right? Because what's it's missing?
Second means.
Second means egress. Okay, it's not you guys that went there. It was the fire prevention. You know, they went to do a smoke. And you guys walked in the front stairs, and then you said, where's your interior rear stairs? I remember this building. Oh, we took it out. We needed closet space. What would you do?
Oh, over there, and have the inspection service settle down.
Do what to the building, though?
We'll put them on alert that they're...
Oh, so you let them continue using it? Without a second means...
Until we get an inspection services go down and take a look at the buildings.
And what we're hearing here is that most, if not all the times, it's completely shut down. Everybody out of the building. Because what don't they have in the middle of the night to get out?
Second means egress.
Second means egress. So it automatically shuts it down.
What we'll do is we'll call them, we'll wait there until they get there.
Right. But they basically show up and say, okay, nice closet space, but everybody out of the building. You know, they do that in a hotel. Take out all the, to make an extra room, they take a second stair out of the hotel. What do you do in the hotel? Everybody out of the hotel, right? That's a norm. So I'm going to show you the respect that an interior staircase has compared to an exterior staircase or fire escape, right? This is now the exterior fire escape that you have on your building that you went to see here in Worcester. And she's in a state of collapse. So do you really have a second means of egress? No. But yet, if you find this one, you'll give the guy a violation. You'll let him occupy the building. You'll let him use it and fix it over the next 30, 60, 90, 6 months, a year. Because if it's outside and ready to collapse, what respect do you give it? None. But you take this and you bring it inside, or you remove it completely, you start freaking out. Right now, you don't have anything you can step on. This thing is in a state of collapse. Yet, sometimes fire escapes on the outside don't get that respect. When she's a life safety issue, when the fire escape on the outside, you don't have a second means of egress. You have to shut that building down. But that's not always the case. But you take the same scenario inside, you remove one of the rungs of stairs inside of any building everything shuts down. Yet you walk to a fire escape and you look up and you got 5 treads dangling. The building seems to continue open for some reason or not. So we'll constantly refer back to this, but you know, all the welds, and I'll throw the welding as the one piece. Can, the EPA says you got lead. Can you burn lead?
Can you burn it?
Can you burn lead?
No.
Oh. So can anybody weld fire escapes that have lead on it?
Sure.
Well, the EPA says you can't. You know what? You know, if I get caught by the EPA welding this fire escape that has lead, you know what this fine cost me? $35,000.
Well, you have to be certified.
That's right. You have to have an EPA renovator's license. But that still doesn't stop me from getting a $35,000. Just so you know, 98% of all the fire escapes in the United States are bolted connection fire escapes for a reason. They heat up in the summer and do this. They cool down in the winter and do this. They're made to move all the time. You can't move welds. Welds snap, rip, and as soon as you have any rust jacking or ice jacking happening on a weld, they snap immediately. Okay, so that's the main thing you have to understand with welds. And the EPA just said now, if I catch you welding on a fire escape, which is an improper repair to begin with, the EPA has now stepped in and says you can't burn anything that has lead. So a weld is a burn and a $35,000 penalty associated. Yes?
So if somebody's fixing a fire escape, do I need to have him get a hygienist to come down and test the?
No. All fire escapes older than 1978 are presumed to have lead.
Okay.
You're supposed to have an EPA renovator's license. You already know what to do. You need to change this bolt out. You need to put a bolt, you can drill a hole here and put a bolt there. You can't weld it.
Okay.
That's all. It already comes to you bolted, so why are you welding? Most guys, to see this bolt here, they would just rather weld here than change these 2 bolts. Because to change the bolts, I gotta open up the connection, remove the rust, spray some primer in there, and if possible, inject some silicone. They don't want to go through that. Joey just drags the welding cables, and does he call you for a fire permit? No, he never does. Paint job. And by the way, let's hit that right now, and then we'll start flying through the slides. 75 years ago, when 5 years after this was built, did it need repair or a paint job? Paint. You need a permit to paint?
No.
All right. 25 years later, right? She was showing some sign of rust. Did I pull a permit to repair it, or did I just continue playing on the paint, on maintenance?
Probably paint.
Probably paint, the maintenance. I've done a couple little wells which you didn't see. So did I need to pull a permit? 50 years later, she's got a few bolts popping here and there like this one, and I started, you know, I saw some problems and I welded this. Am I under a repair permit or I'm under a paint maintenance permit? Paint permits. Because you know who you pay on those? Nobody. You don't pay nobody. So all of a sudden you show up and you catch me doing something. What do I tell you?
I didn't know.
No, I'm just painting the thing. But you want a permit? I'll get one. You know what I'm saying? And then, by the way, 50 years ago, not even today, do I have an engineer watching what I'm doing? Do I have an engineer watching Joe, local welding ironwork guy, doing this? I don't know if some of you know welding, what it looks like. This ain't it. But, right? So do I have any oversight? And since I didn't pull a permit, are you ever going to go come check my work? So then you go on the phone and you start pounding the phones because after I fixed what I wanted to fix, because it's all based on how much the guy gives me. The guy gives me this much money, I fix this much stuff. You know what I'm saying? What do I do with the rest of the stuff because it's already Friday and it's 3 o'clock and I got to get home?
Paint it.
Paint it and caulk it with silicone. So this big gap over here, what do I do? And this bolt, if I move it, there's no bolt, the shaft is gone, but what do I do? What do I, you know, there's rust here, what do I do here so that, in case you are opening your eyes, what do I do with that?
Weld the bond.
You caulk it up, you fill it with caulking, and you paint over it, and I'm not going to have a check from a city official anyway. I haven't paid any money on these fire escapes in 75 years. But then I call around and I start pounding the phones. Hey, Mr. Engineer, registered professional, how much do you charge an hour to come and look at a fire escape that is painted? 75 to 125 bucks, is that a reasonable offer, right? Guy says, great, can you come today? He'll say, you have a check or cash? Well, I have cash. So all of a sudden that guy comes down and you just finished painting. Do you think he's going to get on it? He ain't getting on him with his shoes, right? And he comes down, and he's already got enough money. He has power windows not rolled down. So he goes, pulls up, drives, looks, and does what?
Looks good to me.
Looks nice paint job. Well, looks good, right?
He takes out his rubber stamp.
What do you call those guys?
Rubber stamper.
A stamp horse?
Yeah.
And that document states, excuse me. Let me show you that document. Issued by Massachusetts. Go in the middle here. It's this one, dead middle. So, if you don't have a certification, use this one. This is a Boston certification. We call this an opinion letter. Other people call it a certification. I think today's class is going to show that somebody has abused the word certification. We're going to give you our definition of certification. We're going to give you our definition of low test. It's up to you to make a decision what you think is the standard. But if you read this, and this is what you have to sign in Boston, and you can be ready to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief. Is that a disclaimer? These egress components is in conformity with the provisions of the Mass Building Code 1001.3. Even though it says 805, disregard this is an older certificate. What's that mean? To the best of my information, knowledge, and belief.
Looks good to me.
Looks good to me. So we have some confidence tests that we've generated that are used, they're nationally recognized certifications. If you go to seattle.gov, and you go to Fire Prevention, because that's who runs the show there on these type of inspections, and you go to inspections and testing documentation, you'll have sprinkler confidence testing. You can just copy it. They also have fire escape confidence testing. Why do you think they have a confidence test? Because they were proactive, or because somebody fell almost to their death or to their death? Somebody almost fell to their death. They brought me in about 5 years ago to teach a class just like this, and they didn't have a confidence test, so we made one up. And that confidence test basically is what we're going to use now to make sure that everybody's doing their job correctly, because now the engineer, we think, should be put to a higher standard, and that is a confidence test, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay? So let's go into some of these slides, but we're gonna show that an opinion letter is just that, it's an opinion. Whereas the code right now, specifically, all three codes concur. There's only two things you can do in this state. Load test it or certify it to get you assurances. I can't even use the word guarantee. To get you the best assurance you can ever get. So let's talk about what those are. And let's go into a few things here, okay? Hopefully, as the day gets better, you guys will see more.
Didn't work better down the other side? Try it.
What we were getting is, as we were trying to record it, we were getting a lot of, you couldn't see anything, it was just the camera was getting the total washout. So you guys, let's take a look at the back. Put this in the back of your, or on your wall, put this, frame this. This is what happened in 73 here in Marlborough Street in Boston. If anybody doesn't know the sequence of events, taken by Stanley Foreman, who won a Pulitzer Prize for the last photograph. Basically, he was able to hold onto the ladder with one hand and save himself. Sadly, the woman and her niece fell. The woman fell to her death. And because of this, they changed the codes in Massachusetts to inspect fire escapes every 5 years. Prior to that is you must maintain your fire escape at all times. When you have a law that says you, the homeowner, is responsible for maintaining it at all times, what happens? So with that, let's talk about the codes that are out there. The International Fire Code states that the testing and certification, any fire escape system found to be in a state of deterioration or unsafe shall be repaired immediately. Depending upon structural condition, a load test shall be conducted. So they want a load test. By the way, we're not pushing load tests today. At the end of this, you're not going to be making everybody load test your fire escape. So let's get that right out. We're now load testing fire escapes. But in case things get stupid, and some people just don't want to work with you, and people, you know what you got? You know what you got? In the fire side, You know what your trump card is when people are just not paying attention to you? It says right there, depending upon structural condition. Who depends? Who's using this word depend? It's the authority having jurisdiction. If he's not satisfied, even though the building department says, well, I got a certificate and I got a this, and he goes, well, you know, I'm just not happy, I want my load test. So the fire department has all the right to order a load test because you're not depending upon structural condition. Let's talk about the NFPA, Quincy, Massachusetts. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to approve any fire escape stair that has been shown by load test. First it's load test or other satisfactory evidence to have adequate strength. Isn't this the depending upon structural condition? So we're really pushing the thing back to, okay, the load test is my trump card that I use whenever I'm not satisfied, but I'm really about this other evidence of strength. So let's talk about this fire escape in a little while, of what I could do besides a load test to give you assurances that she's not going anywhere. Can that be done? The answer is yes. The building code, which is our code here, 1001.3, it says, testing and certification, all exterior fire escape systems shall be examined. What's examined mean? Looked at first, right? Right? It's got to be looked at. Or tested. What's tested mean?
Load test.
Load tested. So all three codes confirm, and then it says, and or certified. What certified means? Is it other evidence of strength to have adequate strength? That's all it means. Certified means you're going to give me some documentation, some proof. Otherwise, this guy's going to order a load test, this guy's going to order a load test, this guy's going to order a load test. But if the industry does something to not do a load test because it's $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 to drag around sand, water, cables, does that money buy any bolts? Nope. Does that buy any paint? Nope. Right? So this is not a load test. I didn't go out and buy stock in load testing, you know, thinking, oh man, we're going to jump the mark. It's not about load testing. It's all about other evidence of strength, which is what you thought was happening for 75 years under your paint program. How's it coming along so far? So it took 75 years of abuse. So let's talk about what happens in Boston. In Boston, there's only 2 licenses in the country that you can have zone fire escapes. Boston issues a G3 license, and LA issues you a Reg 4 license out of their fire department to test fire escapes. And no license in the United States. There's none. So all of a sudden, back to Boston. In Boston, you know who can sign the certificate? It says right there, certification required every 5 years by Massachusetts registered professional engineer or others qualified and acceptable to the building official. City of Boston license A, B, or G3 builder. Does anybody know what a G3 builder is? A G3 builder is a guy that does window guards and railings. And he also fixes fire escapes, so it's a little ornamental iron workshop. So, you know, I've had my G3 license for 20 years. Do I need to pull a permit? No. I'm painting. I'm using the paint program that all the cities in Massachusetts offer me. So I got a call in Worcester or Chelsea or anywhere. I walk in. You think I'm going to make the client make me pull a permit? I'm a one-stop shop. I can do everything for you. I can examine it. Looks crappy. I can fix it. Depending on how much money you're going to give me. Otherwise, I'll use my paint program to complete the project for you. So you give me a lot of money, I'll do the right job. You give me a little money, what do I do? Change only what I think is bad and do what with the rest of the money? No, Home Depot, Rust-Oleum, you know, right? And then it comes time to sign off for you guys. What am I going to give you? Let's say this is in Boston. I give you the certificate. And who can sign it?
He can. A G3.
A G3 guy. It says right there. The code says that I'm a brain surgeon and I can sign off. Right there. So how much work do you think engineers have in Boston?
So much.
You know what I'm saying? Because what do they want to go really babysit and do the correct job? You know, $750, $1,500, $2,500 to really get this baby done? What's a G3 guy charging? I started charging way back when. Everybody thought I was crazy because I started charging for inspections. And everybody thought I was crazy because you were getting for nothing. Now, today, if you call in Boston, guess what they charge? $100 to $300 is the average. So they caught quickly onto that market that not only can they go somewhere and pretend they're inspecting it, but they can collect gas money, $100, $200, $300. Do they generate a report back to you? No. Do they collect the $100, $200, $300? Yeah. So there's the abuse that's happening. They sign off on their own work, and this was actually happening. This G3 was migrating as far out as Worcester, far out as Springfield, because you walk out there, you're doing this repair on some house in some building way out in Chicopee, you know what I'm saying, wherever, and the building inspector says, oh, you know, how are you going to sign? Well, I have my G3 license in Boston. I sign off on all the fire escapes, and you start waving that around, and what happens? They said, oh, okay. I need a certificate. Oh, okay. Well, this license I signed off in Boston. And what do you guys say? Oh, okay. So we've had a badge, we've had a gun, and what have we been doing out in the Wild Wild West? Having a free-for-all. Thank you very much. But 75 years later, what's starting to happen to these things? They're falling. They're catching firemen. And now we're basically here to say there's a gap, there's a loophole. And everything we're about to do already exists in the law, so we're going to show you everything that you have to do when it comes to fire escapes, because it already exists. So there's nothing new I'm going to show you guys. This is actually out here. You guys got a detention center on Route 9, a juvenile detention center. This is the fire escape there. It's inside a courtyard. You can't get out, but when you first walk up to it, you know, the guy brought me out. Doesn't look too bad, right? It looks like it needs a paint job. As soon as you look underneath, I'm sorry that it's so bright here. What we got? Tons of, sorry, it's a bunch of rust ready to drop this fire escape. So, this is another one.
It's a state facility, isn't it?
It's a state facility. On Route 9.
We don't have any jurisdiction.
Right, I know. I'm just using it as an example. Everybody, I'm at fault. You know what this was this is called, the perfect storm of stupidity. Building inspectors didn't do their job. Fire inspectors didn't do their job, engineers didn't do their job, iron workers didn't do their job, so it was a perfect storm, 75 years in the making, and we're not going to fix it today. We're just going to make you aware that there is a process that you can start getting back, putting it on checklists, and these will get eaten up. Every single one will get eaten up like sprinklers were. Remember when sprinklers 30 years ago, you'd have tons of buildings with non-active sprinklers in various parts of the building, and the building was still active? Does that happen today? Nope. Why? Awareness, a lot of things came up. People had to die in fires, that the sprinklers were all shot up. Well, if we need to kill a few more kids and firemen on these fire escapes, so for this to be, something that's really important, let's do it. I mean, you guys know anybody that you don't like is there any department? No? No, not at this time? Okay, well, then we might have to do something else more proactive. But, guys, here's the biggest issue when these guys are in the middle of the night showing up a fire escape. What they don't carry with them to effectively do their job. It takes a 1/4 inch. To grow a 1/4 inch, I need 25 years to let it go. To grow a 1/2 inch, I need 50 years to grow this 1/2 inch. What firemen can't do while they're fighting fires in the middle of the night is run up with a 3-pound sledgehammer and do this.
Is this a load test?
So I'm going to show this a couple times. So what you saw there is one of my inspectors not performing a load test. It's a safety test, meaning I got to walk up this thing. I got a little 3-pound hammer and I ping the treads. And as you can see, did he continue with his inspection?
No,
So we want to, as one of the possible ideas here, I think it's impractical, but let's give every firefighter a 3-pound sledge. And whenever he hits a fire escape, he just starts pinging his way up and just pinging his way down. Think that's going to be effective? Now, a lot of you guys don't know this, but let me tell you a little rule of thumb that happens in every fire station. When you've got the gray-haired guys teaching the new dark-haired guys who don't go gray we're going to go gray soon, they say, in case of fire, don't use the... Right? Is that that's an internal thing, right? Saying, I don't care if there's a baby up there, a woman screaming, you know, don't use the fire escape. Go get the ladder, take 3 to 5 minutes, bring in a ladder, bring in a truck, go get something, but don't use the fire escape to get that person that I can see with my own eyes. And what usually happens in 3 to 5 minutes? What kills everybody within 3 to 5 minutes? Smoke. So they'll wait. They'll wait for us. Now, is anybody posting this statement in case of fire to the tenants? I know you have a fire escape in the back. Don't use it. Is anybody doing that for the tenants? So the tenants are totally clueless on this, that they should be made aware that nobody gives a crap about fire escapes and that they should never use them, no matter how horrific the situation is. So this is where we need to basically, because right now that's their standard policy. You go through some of their policies, and what's the policy? With electrical, fire escapes, don't get on them. And as soon as you get on them, get off of them. Right? So, pinging the treads all the way up is not going to be a good idea then. But that's what we do when we got all the time in the world. We do it during daylight. We ping all our treads, and if it, all of a sudden they start falling apart on us with a 3-pound sledge, ping, ping, pong, a pong usually drops it. You see how quickly that dropped? They don't have that leisure. They're in the middle of the night trying to save babies. Bridgeport, Connecticut this year. I'm going to try to move this down here for a second and give it a diagonal.
Might be darker in the closet.
Let's do this.